Hello. What's going on? Okay. Okay. So, um, I need to hide this. Thank you for your patience, my friends. So Romania, there's 1 minute left. They have to win. And, load this and nice. Okay. So yeah, interesting chart, the double fire, the Aries sun, moon in Leo, and Cancer rising. Seen that before. And then you got Pallas, Athena right on your midheaven in Pisces. Ooh. And interesting seventh house. And hold on. Yeah, baby. Ooh, bravo. I nearly screwed it up. Okay. Anyways, so yeah. So let's go ahead and shall just keep it like this. The chart. Load the aspect page. Okay, check. Let me check right here. Okay, I just want to just look at our. Waiting isn't my strong suit. Well, hey, you fucking did it. Okay, now I just wanted to see where you give your birth info just to. Yep. And, okay, so it's all good. All right, straightforward. How I like it. Um, so yeah, double fire with some a Cancer rising is nice because it's like you get you get that you get that kind of like this like very fiery, you're very fiery obviously, um but the Cancer rising gives you kind of like a more familial kind of chill vibe. So like if you had like a Sag rising or Aries rising, right? On top of like having the sun and moon in those, it's like, all right, overblast in the fire. So you like when people meet you, and not just meet you, but like your personality is a lot more like you can definitely be more familial and kind of like that recognizable, just like, oh, that's not gonna say her name, but that's her. Um, so it really helps people who have these types of charts to have the Cancer rising because Like it makes them less intimidating. I'll just share the screen. Less intimidating and more, I guess, digestible in the sense of like, uh, as I was saying before, like, if you had like all of this in fire, it's like, you know, people are going to be intimidated or they're just going to be like not able to handle you. You'd be too fiery. So the Cancer does nice and makes your chart ruled by your Leo moon in the second house. And then you also have a Scorpio, Mars, retrograde, baby. Where's Mercury? Where's Mercury? Retrograde. Yeah, it's in Taurus. Okay. Well, really nice mix of elements. We have water, fire, water, fire, earth. Interesting. So there's no air in personal planet. Um, right away indicator of a advanced soul. You might be asking, how is not having air an indicator of advanced soul? That's not what it is. Your north node is Gemini, which is air, and you have no supporting air energy. Yeah, you have fire. Yeah, your north node has a sextile in your moon, but you have no, and I think is that Venus also, I mean the nodal axis, are getting positive aspects from Venus, and from the moon, especially the moon. The moon's like spot on, and I have that too. And uh, typically, well, you have moon square Saturn, but you know, it's like usually pretty good, like karmic energy. Although, like I've said this before, and then had clients who were like, no, but it's usually pretty good karma with the mother. Um, at least like if you think about the North Node, um, and it's in Gemini and the moon's in Leo, your natural kind of like being, right? Your internal kind of self, that instinct is, it's linked to, like, there is a link between that, and the blah blah blah. Like there's a link between that and where you're trying to get, like, destiny wise. So, I'm like the North Node runs everything in my world, right? So, from my perspective, I look at the North Node and I'm like, okay, how does it make sense to the rest of the chart? Well, in your case, having it in Gemini in the 12th, well, 12th house Gemini, when I combine the 12th house Gemini, I always think of it, and it is on Aldebaran, but like I don't really consider, I don't know, I don't really see how royal stars work with anything besides like um planetary points. North Node isn't that, but that's, people debate that sometimes because Antares is on your south node, like it could be just like a very regal past life kind of tendency, right? But we don't know. I don't make claims, I don't know. But overall, North Node in Gemini with no air, but there is support from the fire. You know, you're here to translate the cosmic language into terms that we can all understand. And we asked, okay, so what is Um, what is yeah. Basically, what's the chart asking, right? So there's off the bat, like just off the bat, super just intense energies. Like with the Mars and Saturn, I see that in the charts of very successful people because in your 84, so you've been through your Saturn return, they tend to really like have to have gone through lots of hard work, or they have to really step up early in life. Now, of course, they're 14 degrees away, but whatever. The vertex is the midpoint between the two, so um, you know, just like having those two like in that, it's not a conjunction, but they're in the same house. So, you know, there's a strong creative purpose, right? A strong spiritual purpose, but then like the Saturn in the fifth house can kind of be a party pooper in terms of like really truly letting that creative expansion expression out. Now, you know, with the South Node in Sag, North Node in Gemini, it's like, you're here. It's really about a quest for merging the lower and the higher mind, if that makes sense, right? Merging those two. And how when it's South Node Uranus can be a trauma marker of someone who maybe like faced some type of like ostr is it ostracization? Like, yeah, just like someone who's used to kind of like being themselves and being individualistic, but might, have faced some sort of like banishment for it, you know? Um, but with that said, I think that you come into this life with very original philosophies, original ideas, but it's important to kind of like understand that you really have to do like the groundwork, and talking to different types of people, who you might not expect to be like strong sources of info, um, and wisdom. Like you have, it's like the journalist energy, the journalist, and then that's the lower mind, and then the higher mind is the connects everything to the main concepts of the article. So, um, no, very nice. The washing machine, of course. Yeah. So the interesting thing though is that even though there's the sextile, Leo moon is someone who definitely, require a lot of attention and square Saturn. So like growing up. So to me, I see that as, in Saturn's in the fifth, um, most likely difficulty with, even though I talked to the mother, like, in a good way with the nodes, and maybe it's like a relationship that you're working on. But yeah, just like the upbringing, kind of like some strictness there, Um, I just finished reading actually with someone who had I think her moon was it opposite. See, I can't even remember like right like when I just finished it, but yeah, it was opposite, and it just like it doesn't like Moon in Saturn is just like it's very very hard, right? Because as a Leo Moon, you want to expand, you want to be it's very gregarious, and um, but then like the Saturn can really restrict it a lot, and it can give like a way more serious, self-controlled kind of private, you know, like that can lead to like nature that can lead to like loneliness and shyness even. But you're a Leo moon, right? So it's like I imagine the Saturn return, you would have really unlocked a lot of that, right? Um, but yeah, usually like kind of feeling unhappy as a child is a theme, and like bouts of depression, kind of but that's very contingent upon uh how the parents, or if the parents are able to form like a healthy emotional connection with you, right? If not, you could have been left feeling abandoned, um kind of unlovable, right? And it creates like lots of emotional distance in relationships later on. So yeah. um but if the parents did try to like reach out at that critical stage, um then self-respect kind of replaces like a potential like destructive behavior. um so yeah, it's important for people who have that, like when I get kids charts, I'm like, they should be like doing like team sports or anything that can really bring them, kind of force them into human contact, because they can really want to be isolated, and then they can like not develop their emotions in that kind of healthy way. So yeah, it's tough for sure. And yeah, a lot of times people who have that, yeah, they can just like they can feel like rejected, and difficulty with making friends. And they can like push the blame on other people for not being able to like control their emotions, right? So yeah. Um, but like really like the destructive stuff's kind of more extreme. It's really more just like a challenging childhood overall, right? Um, and despite all that, it can be someone who has a very successful life. Like lots of celebrities and famous people have, that. So, unlocking the Leo moon is unlocking the inner child, and it's just about like taking risks to vulnerability. Now, you don't have that many red aspects, like difficult aspects, but you do have Moon square Mercury, which that is the ultimate, conflict between heart and your soul's desire and your mind's desire, right? And I don't know if your human design is a generator or manifesting generator, but 70% of us are. And for those people, it's really important to kind of wait and have patience for opportunities. Um, and yeah, like the Moon square Mercury, it's like indecisiveness, like always weighing the pros and cons, rumination. Yeah, the feelings and thoughts being at odds with one another. Um, so yeah, like learning the compromise between the two is very important. Um, so the sun doesn't really have much aspect wise. I see. 20. It is square Jupiter, but 8 degrees. But that's kind of like a loose one already. And yeah, like it's just like doesn't really change what an aspect that sun can be, which is just like, I just want to make sure. Mhm, 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 mhm. Yeah. So, mm, yeah. So that can be difficult. I mean, it's like 7 degrees from the trine with Uranus and 8 degrees from the trine with square Jupiter. But that can just be like, yeah, very like unhinged energy where the ego can kind of like go off the roof sometimes. So watch out for that. but also super creative, you know, and like unlimited like creative potential and kind of I think of it as like blast off potential, you know. Um, but yeah, I don't really need to go into sun signs, you know what Aries is, but like, you know, Aries can be like a little bit gung ho sometimes, right? And with unaspected sun in Aries, it can intensify that kind of ego drive, right? Um, so just very good for like leadership and self-expression, but then there can be like too much like need for like ego recognition at times. Um, and that, you know, as a Leo moons have the emotional need for that very thing, you know. So that frustration can definitely be there, right? Because Leo moons like it's like they do tend to like to be the center of attention and like really at the core of it, Leo moons are just like fun-loving people, you know, and that's the highest vibe is like that gregariousness, that just you know, being able to kind of really be like really just like I feel like Leo moons like they just stay forever young, you know. Um they stay forever young and like my mom's Leo moon and I've done several readings for people who are also Leo moons, and that's how it is. You know, they just they keep this kind of vibe to them throughout life. So pretty cool stuff. Um, Pretty cool stuff. But yeah, Leo is all about authentic self-expression. So it's like about, you know, going deep within yourself. And you know, with Pluto in the fifth house, you know, you'll Leo moon, you'll have felt that your life, you know, has like a very deep spiritual purpose to it. So you know, that's key. But like another thing with the fifth house Pluto is that, you know, there's such a powerful need to express yourself that it can kind of, yeah, it can end up as like kind of like an obsessive need for attention. So and then Mars there also with Saturn there, yeah, the Saturn can kind of create like frustration around like I'm trying to you know like like lack of fun early in life, you know. Um, so it's difficult, which makes like the creative work and just like having fun in general like more difficult. So um yeah, like getting past that aspect with the moon is just about like emotional vulnerability, you know, and just like letting your emotions out to people and just having like having that practice. Um, Mars and Scorpio, you know, it's in retrograde, so that's like very interesting. Because Mars retrograde is very rare. And it really shifts like the outward thrust of that Scorpio Mars inward, and you'll learn like, kind of like relive lots of like past experiences, um, and sometimes you can project past life roles onto people in the present life, and yeah, just like very like spiritual, and a lot of times it's like it's about um kind of like a do-over in the sense of like either over, you know, like your actions and past lives were either like over or under what they should have been, you know, like you either acted too much or acted too little or in the wrong way or the right way. um so most people just can like feel it, there can be like that kind of like coming on too strongly energy common. But yeah, yeah. Still it is a Mars in Scorpio, and you'll seek this deep spiritual knowledge from within yourself. And fifth house is stacked, so it's like once your Saturn return hit, you probably really felt like by 29, you know like this deep need to take like a real spiritual risk on yourself, to really really like or create excuse me creative risk on yourself. And it probably got easier after that point. But I always think of this how Saturn is like this like wall that comes up. Like, you're trying to be creative, and then like it's like this like wall that kind of comes up, and you're just like, God damn it, fuck this wall. Um so yeah, it just makes one have to like work extra hard at um their creative passion, which is a Leo moon, is a big, big thing. But going back to what I was saying before, as a gem, North Node, there's definitely a part of you that is, in 12th house North Node, people are very, very here for the spiritual growth. And that's like with the Mars, same thing with the Mars, in Scorpio. And just in general, I think that like a big thing is like with the 10th house sun in Aries also is getting past any kind of like ego shit, you know? Like, because you will have this energy of someone who can really, really do a lot in the world, and you're meant to, right? But there has to be like that balance with the inner life and outer life, because you have a lot of the more masculine, well, a lot of fire and water, right? But like your most important planets are fire. So it can be easy for someone like that to not give in enough. And as a Cancer rising, you have to really pay attention to the lunar cycles. They're going to affect you more than the next person. Cancer rising really um are affected by that. So that's very important. Um, let's see. The Wi-Fi. Yeah, basically like you know, second house moon, there's a deep need to find that kind of solidification of self. Um, there's a deep need to really like find that internal security, right? And that's not always easy, but it's a must. And this is important. So hold on one moment. Yeah. So yeah, the big thing is like is kind of knowing that the natural feeling will be to kind of go with that kind of Aries Leo, like very, very straightforward, assertive, like let's do this energy. But that, cosmically it's really you're being asked to dive deep into to your spirit, to your spirituality, to your inner world, so finding alone time, for example, especially with the Scorpio Mars, retrograde, it's like important, um, very important, to really have like that enriched kind of inner life. Um, and then there's, one second, hold on. All right, I am back. Okay, let's go to share screen. So yeah, Venus square Neptune. So Venus and Aries, even in female charts, they tend to be like the pursuers in relationships. They'll go after what they want. Quite bold, but they know what they want. They value independence. They value, as an Aries, you value independence. Yeah, you value, you know, um, you know, assertiveness and action, and you're not really interested in someone who is a pushover, um, with your Juno in conjunction North Node. All your relationships are going to be very faded in themselves, right? And then on that mark, so yeah, it's coming from the seventh house. So you have this thing I see so much in my clients, Neptune setting on the ascendant, but you have Jupiter there too, which is good. But that's like rose-colored glasses in love. That's the metaphor, right? Um, where you really have to take things slowly because you can have the potential to um over idealize, move too quickly into things, especially with the Aries energy, and just not see someone for who they truly are. And yeah, nice. So yeah, I see that with tons of clients, and I just have to tell them that uh there's some level of difficulty with discernment, and there's a need to take your time when you meet someone, because it isn't always what it seems. Now with Jupiter there, that's more favorable because that's gonna, especially in Capricorn, that's very good for money and for success overall. But it's also going to give you more luck and expansion, and it's going to kind of bring the right partners your way. However, the square of Venus and Neptune being on the ascendant, it mixes what I just said about the rose-colored glasses and over idealizing. So you have to really take your time, which not having so much Earth is difficult. But you do have water, and you can tap into that. Um, Tap into that intuition. And fire is also very intuitive. It gives you this fast flashes. And if you are in human design a generator, manifesting generator, you'll which like I said, same percent of the population are, you'll have that inner knowing, of just being able to feel in. If you'll ask you yes or no questions, but I don't want to like you have to know you're a generator for like that applying to you. So I don't want to go too far with that. But yeah, so 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Let me see something. All right, I have no idea what happened, but I paused and it didn't just keep the Zoom recording paused. It just right now it's converting. So it's either going to be two videos, or I'm going to have to find a way to um, make it in, or like, yeah, like I think I know how to do that. Just kind of combine both videos, but that's annoying. Just a mini annoyance. Sometimes I like to take breaks, especially if I have like, if uh, I did like one reading right before that, or like one or two. It's good to chill. I promised my girlfriend I'd watch what's the show called? It's whatever, Outer Banks. So yeah, good to kind of like do that. I didn't do it much, but I think like whenever I come back to the chart, it seems like to be a refreshed energy and perspective. So let's just make sure of everything here. Okay. We'll hide this. Okay. So we are right here at Coolio. Yeah, you see this all the time actually. Like when I was not like first starting out, but when I was I don't know, a few years ago, I would like do like a halftime with my readings where I would like, you know, record and then take like 10 minutes or whatever, 5, 15, just a little break and then come back to it. But now usually I don't do that. Um yeah. So let me just pop this up. So yeah, I'm pretty sure, yeah, I have a program, an editing program. I'm not like Mr. Technology, by the way, but I should be able to just take um part one, put it there, part two, put it there, one video. All right. So anyways, as we were, there's I spoke on like kind of like the real faded relationships theme, and how, but like I didn't what I didn't really add to that is that these relationships are playing a tremendous part, or a tremendous role in your North Node journey. So with that said, when we see it, like we're talking about the Venus in Aries, right? Um, with Ceres close to it. So, not only do you feel, do you have that kind of energy and value, um, And usually like the love language is yeah, with Venus Aries is quite straightforward, right? But then with Ceres there, it kind of softens it a little bit, and it really just makes you feel very cared for when you are allowed to be like very independent, and you're also really good at doing that for other people, giving people space to kind of be themselves, you know? So like being caged in a relationship is not good. And Ceres, Venus in the 10th house with the sun there, it's like, you know, that could definitely be even in Aries, you know, fire sign, tough Aries could be something, you know, in like a caring profession. Um, lighting. I like this lighting, it's darkness. Um, so yeah, like the moon ruling your chart, moon ruled charts, like I said, you know, there's the lunar cycle is very important for you. Um, I tell people like to kind of notice and be mindful of just what like throughout the lunar cycle. Like for example, for me, it's like whenever it's in Scorpio, it's just fucking horrendous, you know? That's because it goes over my Pluto. For you, let's see, is your Pluto just at the start of yeah, it's right at the start of Scorpio. So could be that. Um Another time is when it's in my 12th house, which is Cancer. So for you, 12th house is Gemini. But also with your North Node being there, you know, this could be, you know, 2.5 days each month where you and now it just popped up. So I want to just like really quickly just test this 1 second. I just want to make sure that all is gravy. Okay. Okay. So we're good. We are good. So yeah, 35 minutes on that one. Okay. So why does it always disappear? Okay, there it is. So anyways, aside from that, yeah, so I think I was, you know, I was touching on, you know, second house moons and just like how it can be a test of the internal versus the external in terms of like resources, because the moon, it fluctuates, right? So second house moons, they can really feel, like with like money and stuff, there can be, you know, they do a lot of times seek like kind of that emotional security through money, through you know, possessions and you know, external, um you know, money is a good, yeah. I mean second house is like gains, external, you know, external resources, but it's also internal resources. So someone with the second house moon, um it will really fluctuate a lot. And my experience with that is that, um you know, the fortunes will change, but the goal with having a second house moon is to find those resources internally, right? So you're not phased as much. And then when you do that, you're able to adapt to like the changes in income um more smoothly. And what that means is like really grounding yourself in I always think of it as like creating like a very firm foundation, like firm values and morals that you live your life based off of, right? Um so yeah, that's a really, really important to have that. And as an Aries Leo, um, you don't have like these confusing energies, right? But as I was saying with the Neptune square Venus and Neptune ascendant, it can make it can so okay so Venus is it's many things but but really at the end of the day it comes down to self-love, right? Because it's like, and yeah, it's like what you value in yourself but also what you value in others, right? So um when you have it squaring Neptune, there can be identity crisis, um and it kind of doubles down on that theme of um it makes one like Venus and Neptune in any kind of connection, even a square opposition, you're mixing like high imagination with that like artistic. I always give the metaphor of like Van Gogh being like he needed to have the Neptunian inspiration, imagination to have the ideas of his paintings, but then he needed to have the actual Venusian skill to do them, right? So it like those two combined are the ultimate like creative, you know? But with the square, it's a little bit more difficult because um, you know, it's a tense aspect. And yeah, so there's usually it's really like how like how you love yourself is very linked to how you love others, right? And so it's really, really important. Self-love is really important. That ties right back to your second house moon, right? But that same moon um squares Saturn. So it's like the first 30 years would be difficult emotionally. Usually in that case it's like to do with the mother. But a lot of times the feedback I get is that it's like just the general nurturing. So and Leo moons are very sensitive. Like people don't always know that, but like Leo's are like one of the most sensitive signs. Like my experience with Leo. Um, they can put on like a big show or a big like kind of like external showing, but deep inside like they're very, you know, not fragile, but they do require a lot of love, especially Leo moons as kids, right? A lot of attention, all that stuff. So yeah, like the Venus square Neptune, it will create issues around how you love yourself and how you love others. Um and lots of kind of fogginess around like who am I, right? Um so yeah, like addressing self-love, which is way easier said than done, is so important. But what I see with that aspect a lot is like kind of like playing like people can on a lower vibe can play victim, feel unlovable, all that stuff, and kind of yeah. So it can really be like also a feeling like I'm too different to be accepted, right? Which with Uranus on the South Node, that would make sense, like with respect to the karmic past, right? So really like finding spirituality, aka North Node at 12th house, um, is a way to gain deeper awareness. Like even this, this reading, if this is your first reading, um, but just like anything, good, at least in the metaphysics, like occult, esoteric, or psychology, anything like that helps you understand yourself better. Like that's what you're looking for, because ultimately the 12th house North Node is trying to remove themselves from lifetimes where they were, yeah, too much in the kind of here and now and anxieties of every day, that took them away from that feeling of oneness, and really trying to see themselves as a part of the whole, you know. Um, so it's really like about like um, learning mind over matter, so learning mind over matter in the sense that you're able to find these, like use that south node, right, in the sixth house to understand the steps that it takes to get to that point, right? You don't just become spiritual. You have to have dedication. Um, and then of course a lot of it also comes from just experiencing a lot in life. Um, I think I'm gonna do what I just did for my last client. If I start doing this all the time, it's gonna be crazy. But I'm not a human design person at all. I mean, I finished a book in 3 days, which for me that's like pretty slow. Like considering I was like reading nonstop, but not nonstop, but yeah, really taking my time on that. And I have like a good friend who's like really, really into it. So I'm just gonna plug this stuff in. Why not? So it is 10. Can't get this wrong. And then 9:20. Gotta spell this right. Mm. No, it is not in Arkansas. And 9:28. See if it works. Because it came up as Arkansas. So I just inputted Wisconsin. Come on, come on, come on. Load, load, load. Okay, I think I just no. Load the Arkansas one. No, no, no. I'm gonna have to find like a big city. Maybe too Osceola, but that's a big question. Okay, so it's close to. It's close to Minneapolis, but it's like okay, maybe St. Croix Falls. Let's see if it finds it here. Yes, okay, that will work. So let's just see what comes up here. Come on. Okay, here it is, loading. So you are just like me. Crazy. I did this for my last reading. The second time I've done it. You're also exactly like me. Well, not exactly. You're a pure generator. So yeah. With exactly what I have. Not exactly, but like yeah, you have the thing that I was talking about, where you have the spleen defined and you have the sacral defined, and they connect. Also, you have the root defined. So, but basically, like it's exactly kind of like what I was getting at, right? Where it's like you need to be asked yes or no questions, right? Like you need like people close to you, if you have like a partner or something like that, for you to really really know, as a pure generator, especially as an Aries, like just that go 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 society, just do it. Like you're supposed to wait your turn. Like as generators, we're supposed to wait for the right opportunities instead of just working ourselves into a hole. And then based on this gut, like I was saying before, like it's literally like when you have spleen and sacral, like I do. Like so, this is crazy because the last year I did was also a pure generator. Like what are the odds, right? Um, you will feel that, and it'll be one time that you completely feel the yes or no. And it's about like really like kind of quieting the mind and just really feeling that gut. I forget. I'm sorry if I forget if I was telling you or the first three I did before you about the whole thing with the car with my girlfriend when I was like gonna buy the car, and then I was like, yes, let's get it. And then he was like, okay, no. The car dude was like, no, we can't. Like, we have to do it tomorrow. Walked home, and my girlfriend, without even knowing the human design stuff, like asked me like, hey, like, are you sure you like really want, like really need it, like really want or need this car right now? And then, because I was feeling uneasy on the walk, I was kind of, but I was still not consciously there. And she asked that, I just go, no. It was crazy, And then I made that call to the guy. I was like, look, I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna take some more time. So that's how right? Is is and it's very hard in the society to not just go go go, and a lot of generators burn themselves out because they try to act like manifestors. So I think I said that already. So yeah, there is a level of patience. It's like I think what a big teaching of human design in general is that there's a level of deconditioning that we need as humans, especially as a double fire. You might really feel like go, 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 go. But what happens to like a lot of people is that they um accept they say yes to the wrong things, or they push too hard, and find, whether it's a job, a career, a relationship, whatever it is, that's not fitting for them. And then they get to a certain age, a certain point in their life where they're just fed up and they're just burnt out and they just don't love what they do. So it has to really resonate with your heart, and as Leo Moon, um, with the midheaven in Pisces, you know, in Nine Towers, like I feel like you're really here to to allow yourself to shine. One, that's another thing about being a Leo moon. You know, having double fire karmically, I would say that you're here to allow yourself to really shine and be a star in that sense. Um, like allowing yourself to, and like because your moon is exactly trying your south node to the degree, you're gonna have a lot of like inherited past life qualities. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if you were like a Sag Leo type in your last incarnation. So it's gonna come very easy, you know, or it's gonna come very naturally. But do you have Saturn? Where's retrogrades? Over there, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, Saturn retrograde is thinking. So like in a large part, this life is somewhat of a do-over. Now, don't take that the wrong way. Like, you know, everything's fucked and you're whatever. It's really like there's an element of a very very high importance in this lifetime, right? Where um having that Mars retrograde, right? Um with the I think Saturn retrograde is really important because it's really about passing our karmic test. So you know um it's a signal that you're redoing a lifetime, and the incarnation is your kind of second chance to get something right, right? So some people feel like a burden of like dealing with two lifetimes at once, you know. And there can be lots of inner doubts about your self-worth and how you can like overcome different difficulties. But like as I was saying, like your soul knows how to achieve the spiritual maturity. Um, so like there's been lots of sacrifices, lots of struggles in past incarnations, right? But flowing with like the discipline that Saturn's trying to teach you, gives one enormous wisdom. And it's not, Saturn is like in retrograde, what, like 40% of the time. So it's like it's comfortable in that motion. So you just have to flow with it and tap into all that past life wisdom and all those talents, right? Which are right there for you with a trine. And it's usually an old soul who's on a spiritual path, and they're like, all right, this one aspect of what I was trying to accomplish, this is like the soul speaking. I didn't get it right, and I want to give it another try. It's not like I don't see it as like every fuck, like your last life was a complete fuck up. No, I'm just like there's an element that you're redoing, you know. So of course that can lead to like feeling a little bit of extra pressure and weight, and um really like being serious about like really getting it right this time. So yeah, that's that. So yeah, and in the fifth, I just think that like you're so creative, you're so naturally abundant in that area. There's so much abundance in that area, but like with the 6th, 12th axis on the north and south node, I think that like you have been that kind of like that traveler, that south node in Sag, that person, that the gypsy that turns into the philosopher, that turns into the or the gypsy turns into teacher, that turns into philosopher, kind of metaphorically, right? Like you've been in lots of different cultures, so even traveling in this life might be kind of trippy to you because you might return to places which if you ever want to get an astrocartography reading done, let me know, because those could be really interesting. And you'll be like, wow, I always had that place in mind. It's funny that I have this line over it. But yeah, so I think like a lot like this in this lifetime, there's like a certain demand for self-sacrifice, and a certain demand for just really doing things for the collective, you know? So with like all that, yeah, and there's like even like when you look at like Chiron at 29 degrees, 29.58 Taurus in the 11th, right? It's like that's a very, very, critical degree. And there is also like kind of an extra weight there around you being a healer, and it's in the 11th house, so in Taurus, so it's like you know, the wound for you might be around self-worth. It might relate to like um you know, groups of people, early wounding in that kind of context, but you can be someone who finds groups of other wounded types or wounded healers, not wounded types, and thrives, and also as a healer helps other people sort of find their self-esteem, because you have to get through that Mars square Saturn and that Venus square Neptune and really find it on your own, you know. So back to that, because I didn't really like fully voice what I was saying. I went kind of towards the human design, and also one thing about the human design also is that the whole satisfaction frustration is like um you in your life there's lots of trial and error, right? So you shouldn't feel shame for anything that you did. It all led you to where you are, but that is purely based on like how, when, like, for example, let's say you take the job, someone offers you a job, you accept it, um but it's not really in line with who you are, that you feel that deep frustration, right? And satisfaction is when you really follow your true kind of like you know your true calling and power, and yeah, your strategy, as they say. So that's like kind of the Neptune. Yeah, it just distorts your self-image. So people with that, sometimes I tell them like, do things that make you feel beautiful, film yourself, like do little like vlogs where you like film yourself, and you talk about your emotions, and it's almost like you're you don't have to show anyone anything about it, but um affirmations, all that, super super important. And yeah, take selfies, do whatever, like dancing around, like getting yourself to really feel like your best is important. um and because, like, yeah, it can really distort your appreciation for other people as well. And like that comes back to that Neptune energy of over idealizing romantic partners, being blind to their faults, ignoring red flags, which then makes you susceptible to disappointment and being taken advantage of, right? So another thing with that one can be at a really, really, really dangerous level is like kind of self-hate, self-abuse, and yeah, there's def links with this, like eating disorders, all kinds of stuff like that, right? So um yeah, just like overall, and like also addictions, because Neptune rules that. So um overall, the key theme is pretty clear, right? It's really about about really finding yourself in that authentic version of you. And I think that the fact that you have that Uranus on the, where it is on the on the south node in the sixth house, it does kind of allow you to be naturally kind of like move into that energy of like, I am, just like being cool with being different. So that's important. Let's see here. Okay. So, yeah, like it's really another like lacking the air, like air when you have a lot of air in your chart, you're able to really see things from like other people's perspectives, you know? And it's also about communication, right? So, that's like another area where you're trying to like improve on is communication and like kind of like the more basic type because like people with that they can kind of move into this lifetime and it can just be more difficult to to kind of connect with other people on that level and they can come in with like kind of like there can be like a dogmatic tendency, you know, um and even like kind of like a kind of like the energy being a little bit like restless scatter like trying so many different things and not just that axis in general, you know, Gemini and Sag. So it's really about like having that focus, where you can like find a few things, not just start this, and not finish anything. Um, and that focus is important. But also just like you know, communicating your ideas in a way that you know that helps humanity essentially, right? So that's kind of what how I see it. Um, it's like you're a master at like the very like you know high level kind of like philosophical types of communication, but then when it comes to um the more mini stuff, the everyday stuff, it might be a little bit more difficult. Um, yeah. So I mentioned the Jupiter. Hold on a second, Haley texted me. So, anyways, yeah, like I'm very curious to hear in our follow up, like how what your experience with creativity has been, because I in my Placidus chart, which I used to like use coach, but it's basically the same thing as Placidus, I always really resonate with my fifth house Saturn, and the reason for that is because I'm like really musically gifted, like naturally, um, and I would like create entire freestyle rap songs. I know, like you know, it might not look like I'm an astrologer, but like, you know, I used to be, yeah, I'm not like a typical astrologer, let's be real. But yeah, I'm good as fucking music. And um but like there like when it actually came down to like certain times, it felt like there's this like this wall. Like I don't know if you know what Star Wars I'm talking about. Like I don't know. I just always like it's like they're in the sand and there's this like this wall when Han Solo is like being frozen. I don't even know. Like that's just the image that comes to my head. And it's just crazy because like I would just do unbelievable things, but I was never able to put together um like around people that if they would have heard me do it, you know, like in a good like if like the way I was able to do it around like when it didn't matter, um it would have been like big. They would have been like, holy shit, you're fucking good. Like let's like you know like producers and like people like that like people connected in the industry. So that sucked. um but you know that's kind of part of it because in essence it's like you know there's a lot of been there done that around being you know for me it's South Node Leo, for you it's South Node Sag, you know. um and so but yeah, Yeah, so that's kind of the energy, is that like, you're here to really, like, the more you can give to others and the more you can lean into your healing, like I said, you can be someone who heals groups and whose life purpose is around healing. As a 29-degree Chiron, it's lots of fate playing into that. But sometimes people, yeah, like I said, with Chiron, of course, they have to overcome lots of like pain around self-esteem. Sometimes it's around the body, so things like yoga really help, meditation, grounding. So yeah. Aside from that, your midheaven is fascinating because it has Black Moon Lilith in Pisces, kind of close by, but Pallas in Pisces is like right on it, smack on it, right? So to me, that is like, okay. Pallas is like kind of like the third eye. So I always like think, okay, like I always do two things. I say, okay, what's the moon and what's Ceres, right? Because Ceres is in the moon's in Leo, obviously, and Ceres, they talk about that, right? Yeah, it's in Aries. So they're very similar, right? They're very similar. So there's not much of a disconnect there. Ceres is like it's like a mini moon, but not as important. Um, but yeah. With Mercury, I do the same with Saturn and Vesta and Mercury and Pallas. More Mercury and Pallas. Saturn and Vesta, I don't always like really compare them because Saturn's out of planet. But so your Mercury obviously is in Taurus, in 11th house. So that gives that kind of more methodical, and you have that trine with Jupiter, so good for like seeing the big picture. Which a Taurus, one second, a Taurus Mercury is the type that wouldn't believe astrology. you know, um, they learn slow, methodically, and usually like they kind of like require that proof. Um, but with these other energies, and I'm very, very like firm on like astrology or just like mysticism and whatnot having played a role in your past lives with that Uranus on the South Node. You come in this lifetime knowing that, and knowing that things are, especially with your Pallas, which is your third eye in Pisces. So you have this really beautiful mix, and they sextile each other, which I've been seeing a lot. Um, and that's really, really good for like being able to help people, and for having like kind of this third eye type of intelligence, like your intuitive intelligence, like in Pisces, the highest version of it, where it's very connected to your career because it's around your midheaven, right? So it makes your Pallas very, very important, where you can see like the big picture in the ninth house, right? Very, very Sagittarian linked to your South Node. Um, and actually, it squares your South Node, which is interesting. Um, and then the Pallas Pisces gives like a very meditative mind that's able to merge everything, like kind of see the big picture, like very, very spiritual. Merge the mind with the universe, and heal people through words. So very artistic too. So having that on the midheaven means that everything I just said can play into your kind of dharma, your career, which in Pisces, midheaven and Pisces people, like, they're here to make a difference. And it links to your North Node in the house of Pisces in the 12th house in Gemini. But the thing is, like, it's like the question becomes, how can I take what I said this earlier, like the unexplainable, and put it into words that are explainable, you know? And it could be writing, it could be some form of communication. But overall, like, there's definitely like a very special creative purpose for you in this life. And yeah, like to have Palace on the midheaven is very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Makes me think that this high Pisces energy, like something in the realm of utilizing that third eye, right? Um, is what's gonna, be linked to your career, to your dharma, and also just like ninth house midheaven in the whole sign. It's like you want your career, what you're doing for your higher purpose to be really, really linked to helping you see the big picture, you know, helping you see yeah, helping you understand things on a deeper level. Uh and just yeah, the idea of kind of like just that you want what you're doing to like really hold on a sec. It's Haley, my moon girl reading. She's coming here, and I'm just like, don't. She's like trying to figure out a flight. I'm just like telling her, just like, don't fucking book anything. Like, just I'll call you when I finish here. Um, so yeah, interesting. Black Moon Lilith and Pisces. Think of Black Moon Lilith as like it's not something that exists within you, but it is like kind of like your darkness and like you at your lowest. So, um the way I see that is that people who have that tend to like they can definitely like kind of play the victim. They can definitely you know yeah play the victim and there can be a real like kind of escapist like escapism can play a large role. So hold on, yeah. So that's something just to know about that like very very sensitive soul and when like it can also be like kind of shying away from deep connections. That's another thing, another way it shows up. Um, like kind of emotional vulnerability being difficult, and we see we see that with the moon square Saturn. So, um, it's really just also like Black Lilith in the ninth. Um, you know, people can be jealous of your philosophies and of your travels. So, if those are two things that you do, I would probably just like kind of like if you're someone like for example who travel a lot, like I would just kind of keep it more of a secret. Um, not be showing um every not be like so like like um kind of keep it under wraps because Black Moon Lilith like it talks about like yeah where people can kind of cast the evil eye on us, right? So yeah, that's super important. And okay, so let's see. Yeah, so I really like this. Yeah. Um, let's see. What would that do? I think Black and Lilith in ninth house makes someone have like very rebellious kind of philosophies. And yeah, um, they can definitely like kind of blame society for a lot of things. Um, so yeah, just good to know, just good to know stuff that's good to know. Um, and you'll be a rebel in terms of your philosophical views, and that's just how it is, you know. And it's really important for you to like, oh yeah, so important. Is a South Node in Sag, like to really really like not be dogmatic and like really listen to other people's views, and like is someone like learning to like agree to disagree kind of, right? Um, so that's really, really important. But yeah, like Palace on the Midheaven, Pisces. I haven't seen that one before. But because Palace is it's one of the four main asteroids, right? Um, so yeah, I think it makes someone a very strong leader. Like it gives me like spiritual leader vibes, you know? Because like it gives you like this real powerful vision of what's right and what's wrong. And I think it also gives you like lots of vision and perspective of, especially with the Mercury trine Jupiter, that was it, right? Yeah. Like you have this real understanding of like where you're going. Um, so yeah, very, very, very good leader, very good strategist too. Um, and it's like I would link it with Pisces like and all that to activism, you know, and to advocacy for for causes you care about and injustices, you know. And yeah, usually like people without I think they get involved in work that requires them to see the bigger picture and those injustices I just spoke of and kind of move um yeah move towards making the world better, you know. And yeah, just like being able to really like assert your ideas in a way that kind of sets you apart. um that is important. That is very important. And yeah, I think the word I've been searching for this whole time is like like visionary. That's what it is. It's like a visionary, you know, where you can like recognize patterns and just see things like ahead of time, which can be very good for business. It can be very good for spirituality, everything, you know. Kind of like really anticipate like where things are headed. Um, and then, you know, make your moves based on that. So it's a real superpower, and the fact that it sextiles your Mercury already means that more logical part of your brain that's kind of like able to slowly work towards things, and also it's the 11th house, so it's like able to work with people that's merging with that palace, you know. So you know, once you really nail down with all your fire, you'll have many passions. It's just about, you know, dialing it down to like the main ones, so you're not scattered, as I said before. Um, and yeah, like 11th house Mercury, just like communication with friends is really in groups of people that you really like kind of share common beliefs with and really resonate with. That's really, really important. Like I said, with Chiron there. So also like yeah, you want to like find your tribe. It's really important for you. And yeah, fourth house Libra, or part of fortune, fourth house in Libra. I think that's I think of that as like your flow state. I would say there, you know, you are someone who is you know, feeling really, really good when their life is balanced, when, you know, maybe they're like in a good relationship. Um, that, you know, where peace is kind of like the centerpiece. And also, you know, when yeah, just like that feeling, that sense of harmony within and without. And yeah, like just feeling like that sense of belonging, whether it's work, relationship, and home. But here's the fourth house, so um that's like where your flow state, your joy, um is when you're like really creating that spiritual relationship with yourself. and um in touch with your emotions, right? And also it's about like new beginnings, new beginnings, and like when you're able to really truly uh detach yourself from worldly expectations of what you're supposed to be, like you thrive. So children, they might not come, they may, Saturn fifth house usually will push that back towards after the Saturn return. They can be a very, very impactful if you have children, very, very impactful um part of your life that kind of leads you to this like higher awareness. At the same time though, there's definitely another side where, with Mars in their vertex, where yeah, it really is your doorway to higher awareness. Children, creativity, and just being in touch with your inner child is so important for you. And also with Mars there, I always think of that as like, retrograde also like being able to like, you know, turn your, turn what you do for fun into your work, if it's like, whatever you delve deep into, because Scorpio fifth house is like, you know, you'd have fun like with the stuff that's like maybe a little more serious about like delving into things like astrology or whatever it is for you. So that's cool. And of course, like, I talked about Jupiter, you know, um really giving you like the effect it has on you know kind of your relationships a lot. Like that's like Jupiter, if someone said like what's the best thing you can have in your chart for like relationships and having luck and meeting the right people, I'd say probably Jupiter in seventh house. I think you have Neptune there too, so you have to watch out for like the energy vampires, disillusion, like being disillusioned. And it can really make you like both of those combinations can make you really attract like very spiritually inclined partners and have those types of partnerships. Um, okay, talk about pretty much all of these, didn't I? Let's see some stars. Let's see some stars. Oh no, Vesta. Vesta is also in the 12th house, in Gemini. So, um, with your Juno, which I said like I didn't really talk in depth about Juno. It's conjunct North Node, but I don't think I did, right? But yeah, Juno is like your ideal man if you're straight. I didn't say that, no. So you know that just I already said super faded all your like really serious intimate relationships. There's like really wanting to merge with a partner and just that, yeah, that sense of like of fate, right? Um and meant to be-ness. And then in Gemini, Juno Gemini is just like wanting someone who is fun, who is like just multifaceted, we have an intellectual connection with them, and where they help you, like honestly, like help move you towards that North Node, right? Because Juno's conjunct North Node. Um, so they have to be open-minded. They have to be, you know, whatever their version of spiritual is, open to open-minded, right? And where you can just talk and swap ideas and just like really have like communicate with and have that really clear communication where you're never really bored. That's so important, where you're never really bored. So Vesta is kind of like a more linked to like work. So, but like not necessarily like work, just like, yeah, like a more fun version of Saturn. So in the 12th in Gemini, well, the Gemini one will just make you really good, like networking and just, it's actually interesting with what I said about like the need for this. Well, this will make, kind of communicating easier, but lacking any air in your chart, and this not being like a planet, um, it's gonna not just make you this ultra like communicator. But I like done readings for people like this before, where they don't have any air, and then they're just like, yeah, like I'm like really good at like communicating. Like I see other people's perspective. I'm just like, all right, I don't know. Um, but like, your Mercury also does try and Neptune, so that's just like ultra creativity in your mind and being able to have so much compassion, and it's beautiful. And but yeah, that's in the 12th. It's just like really strong commitment to like spiritual quests, spiritual values, and to like continuously follow like um whatever your spiritual path is, and really wanting to share your findings with others. Um, it could even be like, like having your work be like a healer of some type, like a spiritual work of some type. So yeah. Yeah, let's check out the stars. See if we got any biggies. Any biggies. I have to start staring at my computer very deeply. So the moon. Okay. Ascendant. White moon Selena on the IC. I take that as you are protected by your ancestors. It's very interesting. Uh, yeah, like having like a deep, like, kind of, yeah, that's very interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. Um, wow. So par fortunes on speaker. What is that? Like, I've never even seen that. Like, speaker par fortune. What? Speaker's one of the best stars. So, yeah. So par fortune conjunct speaker, great wealth. Um, and then it says voluptuous propensities. Okay. But yeah, that's really good for wealth and voluptuous propensities. Um, like I know what voluptuous means, but propensities, is that like talking about like one's physique? Oh, okay, okay. So propensity is like, yeah, duh. It's like an inclination, kind of like the propensity for violence. So yeah, okay, that makes sense. Um, so next, okay, nothing there, nothing there, nothing there, nothing there. Okay. Like I said, you have Antares and Aldebaran on your nodal axis. Like I'll just say it, those are two of the best stars, two of the real stars. So like, yeah, it's like I've never looked into them or really like, and I've had talks with people about it, but like it's still worth mentioning that that could like relate if to past lives of great wealth, great honor, all that, where you really shined. But also because North Node and South Node are just they're based on calculations, the apogees of the moon. Um, it's difficult to kind of, it's not a point, it's a metaphor point. You know what I mean? So yeah. Um, ooh, you have Eros on the descendant. That is just pure romantic, like just so romantic. Like it doesn't get more romantic and passionate in love than that. Like that's crazy. With Neptune already, wow. Neptune conjunct Eros, like yeah, just a yeah. That makes someone super 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 romantic, and yeah, just gotta watch out for the pitfalls I talked about. But on its own, that's very cool. Okay, anything else with the midheaven? So it's like, unfortunately, if you were born like a few minutes earlier, you'd have full hot on the midheaven, but it's kind of like it's 3 degrees away. Omaha is one of the real stars. It's like about divine imagination. So people who have that on the midheaven, like they are either artists or they're just like have like a deep appreciation for the art. But 3 degrees is like kind of like with a real star, you can give it kind of a larger orb. We can see how that sticks. Now look at this. My favorite asteroid, Amor, is right on your sun. It's my favorite asteroid because what Amor is about unconditional love. So obviously I use it more in synastry. Um, but it's still um important, right? Let me see. Okay. So it's still important. And to have a more conjunct sun would make someone, hold on, it would make someone just have like just like exude great love. And once again, like it does kind of add like a Venusian vibe to that Aries. So yeah, like it's beautiful, right? Just really being able to like love like just love in general, just being a loving being, you know. So let me see one thing. And another thing, it would make you like demand like a challenging lover. That's another thing with Venus in Aries too, I've noticed. Yeah, and like kind of like yeah, like valuing autonomy and self-determination in relationships, no clingy shit. Um, and yeah, I mean on the sun, just it's just like um, yeah, it's just really romantic also. Um, just like wanting that truest like love, like really just like really like kissy like um just the high like this is like one of the most romantic charts I've seen. And if I'm wrong about this, like I'm just like, or if like if you're not like that, like I'm just like I'm all ears. I don't really make predictions like that very often, but like I just have seen like a lot of like really romantic um um aspects or just aspects and just placements in general. The last one, Hamal on Mercury. No, this one is going to give me making me a little bit less. Um, I don't know what I have to look these up because they're all like ancient texts and hard to find information about. But Hamal I know is not a first. Um, but it really depends. Yeah, it can be kind of cruel, kind of brute, premeditative. Let me guess. Yeah, for Mercury it says dull mind, many friends, great determination, tactful, greatly influenced by marriage partner. So somehow, like a lot of the other ones are not great. It's good. I mean, dull mind, whatever, but like, yeah, great determination, tactful, many friends, greatly influenced by the marriage partner. So there you go. That is everything, my friend. I hope you enjoyed. It was a pleasure, and I will, if I can, I haven't had to do this, um, you know, I know it's just like better to have it all in one video. So I'll do what I can. If I can't make that happen, I apologize um, deeply if it has to be like two different videos on YouTube that you will have seen by now. So just double checking. Yeah, cool. Um, thank you and ciao. Wow, I guess I 1 hour 10 plus 1:45. I'll take it. All right. Bye. Ciao.